Today's sermon is on channeling and the other realms. We're doing 2 chapters in one from the fundamentals of Unicult. We're going to be reading from page 105 and 106. And to start, I'm going to talk about the other realms. I could talk for hours and hours on the other realms and my experiences there and other people's experiences there and what's potentially going on. And I will give a good scientific background of why I believe that the other realms are real and the scientific backing that I truly stand by. And I really do think that the experiences that people have going to other dimensions, whether it be on drugs or whether it be through meditation, whether it be through psychosis, all of these things, I do believe that there is legitimacy, even through dreams. I do believe there is incredible legitimacy in traveling to these other realms. So let's go ahead and read from the book. The other realms are the spaces which exist outside in spiritual reality. So in Unicult, we have our different levels of reality. We have personal reality, which is your reality. That's how you see the world. That's your beliefs. And then we have physical reality, which is the physical world. And our personal reality sometimes is in harmony with physical reality, and sometimes it is in contrast with it. So when you are maybe manic, sometimes I get manic, if you haven't noticed, sometimes I get manic, and maybe one day I'm manic and I think, I don't believe in gravity anymore, and I go jump off a cliff. Well, is my belief gonna be winning, or is physical reality gonna be winning? And I think that there's a balance there. I do think that our collective belief does feed into physical reality, and I think that the amount of people who don't think that who do believe in gravity, keeps gravity working. And I also believe that your personal reality has a potential, but that physical reality also has to be accounted for. Gravity is a social creation, Shelby says, and I'm inclined to believe it too. We have to gravity is a wave, and it's part of our consciousness, it's part of all consciousness. And I think we can shape this world however we want. Okay, so we have personal reality, that's our own belief. We have physical reality, that's the external circumstances we're all contending with. And then we have collective belief or social belief, which is ideas like, oh, money has value, and gender is real, or whatever our society believes. And you can watch our collective values change, and you can see how your personal reality interacts with collective or social reality. And then we have spiritual reality. Spiritual reality is the other side of physical reality. It's the unseen aspect of the thing that we're all contending with. There is truth in physical reality, right? Yes, there are consequences to interacting with physical reality. Yes, the same is true for spiritual reality. There are rules, there are laws that govern us, and there are consequences to acting in certain ways. Yes, this is a cult, and Jesus loves you too. So eventually you get to ultimate reality, which is maybe God, maybe the spirit of uni, whatever you want to think of it as, which is everything all at once. That's ultimate reality. Every single perspective through all of time, all at once. It'd be like the ultimate feeling. It'd be the ultimate feeling. It would be the ultimate. I like to think about it. It would be quite incredible. But I think it would probably be a little too intense, because maybe that's why we have to experience it all as separate entities across over long time, so that it's not too intense. Okay, so when I say the other realms are spaces which exist outside in spiritual reality, I mean that spiritual reality is a real place, and the other realms, even though they are not physically located, they have a spiritual truth, they have a spiritual place. The other realms are very real. The other realms are accessed via higher dimensional consideration, meditation, and trance states. And I could add sometimes in psychosis and drugs, like I said before. To travel to the other realms, open your imagination and let your whim carry you. This is very important. Try traveling in dreams or in the space between waking and sleeping. Trance-induced states can act as a chariot to guide you. If you feel that you have discovered a new realm that no one has talked about before, do not feel like you are wrong. Instead, embrace your role as an explorer and discover new lands. Known other realms that you can visit are Atlantis, Fairyland, the Dream World, the Astral Planes, space schools, meeting places at the Galactic Center, the Jinn Worlds, alien ships and worlds. That's all we have listed. But that's just a few. And like I said, there are a lot more than that. And if you're the first, I think also we could include maybe like Hollow Earth. Stay protected as you travel. Set the standard of only interacting with beings who are in alignment with all one, and you will be safe. Sometimes guides will appear to help you navigate new spaces. Enjoy your time traveling through the other realms. So we'll talk about some of this. First thing I want to talk about, though, is the scientific backing behind why I believe in the spiritual, in the other realms. And the reason why is because I have the rainbow behind me today, because we can understand reality through the electromagnetic spectrum. I'm starting to realize that the electromagnetic spectrum is actually only one manifestation of that which is frequency, of that which is reality, and sound waves and gravitational waves, and there are infinite other categorizations of waves as they manifest in different dimensional realities and different densities. I still haven't figured that whole thing out yet, but let's just stick to our electromagnetic spectrum as a representation of all reality, because I think that is a good place to start. So the electromagnetic spectrum is a frequency range that is of waves that also contain photons, and they can travel through space and infinitely, and we get information from space because we see light or other electromagnetic radiation. We use electromagnetic radiation in our technology. All of our cell phones, all of our Wi-Fi, all of our Bluetooth, all of our X-rays, all of our microwave radiation technologies, walkie-talkies, radio, all of that is electromagnetic frequency. Our bodies also emit electromagnetic frequency in the sense that our thoughts are actually on the electromagnetic spectrum. Our electrical signals are sent through our bodies, and we are living in an electromagnetic soup right now, especially with all the artificially generated electromagnetic technologies that are saturating our bodies. The satellites, all of 5G, 4G, 3G, 2G, are all electromagnetic realities and electromagnetic frequencies that interact with our physical body and our electromagnetic and our bioelectric realities. So when we're talking about reality and we're talking about the things that could potentially exist, it's really important to understand that the visible light spectrum is only the rainbow is only an infinitesimally small section of the electromagnetic spectrum. And I'm talking about this just to open your mind up to the potential of realities to exist. When we look at the electromagnetic spectrum, and then we look at the way that our sense organs can internalize and interpret just the smallest little section. Our eyeballs are these insanely adapted, technologies that are really amazing. Like if you look at eyeballs, it's like one of the main arguments against evolution, because it's like, how the fuck is an eyeball, right? How the fuck did an eyeball come to be? And that's our highest body technology, other than the heart and the brain as well. But like when we look at the eye as a sensory organ, it is so complex and so strange, and it literally internalizes only the smallest section of the electromagnetic spectrum. Tiny amount. Tiny, tiny, tiny amount. Imagine if we had sense organs, which we do, it's not totally understood, that could sense, feel, and radiate on a wider range of frequencies other than just the spectrum of light. And we have infrared, we have heat, we have, there are other ways that we sort of tap in and tap out on the electromagnetic spectrum. And we've learned to use technology in these unseen areas to send radios signals and to send electricity and to send Bluetooth and to send Wi-Fi. So as we're feeling into this amazing reality that we can only see the smallest amount of reality, and also the cosmic radiation that's happening and all of dark matter and dark energy that we actually know is out there but we cannot perceive should be enough for you to focus in on your own hubris, your own confidence that you know what's going on here, and allow you to open your mind and expand your mind to the fact that we really don't know what else is out there. We really are only seeing a small amount of reality. That is against our God-given right. Our uni-given right is to be able to have access to all the information we want to have access to and to experience all the different things we're going to experience. So by meditating, we're getting some hate on TikTok. It's sad. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I can read. You know I can read. As you're contemplating the reality that we are only operating on a very small section of reality and that there is more reality to be experienced, we can feel into our right to experience the other realms. And the other realms are aspects of reality that exist beyond this version of reality, beyond our perceived reality. And they are realms where, I believe, and you can explore this idea, other conscious entities exist. I do believe it's a complete brainwash that that I was raised thinking that we were looking in space for aliens who were carbon-based life forms, who needed water to survive. That's all we know of life, sure, but doesn't it seem quite limited to imagine that all of life requires carbon and water? I think that's very close-minded because there is so much in the universe we don't understand, and I also believe that all things are conscious. So I guess if you're coming from the presupposition that all things are actually physical and then consciousness suddenly was created out of physicality, then maybe I could see the bamboozlement of thinking that carbon-based life forms are the only ones that could potentially exist. But if you open your mind up and you say, wow, that's really a limited perspective based on what we see here on Earth and what we are interpreting and internalizing here on Earth, and it's like a human-centric view, then you start to say, oh, maybe there are other realities, other life forms that could potentially exist that aren't carbon-based, that are more etheric. What about angels? How can this belief of angels coexist with our belief of life and our belief of consciousness? A lot of people have experiences with angels. A lot of people have experiences with aliens. A lot of people have experiences with fairies. If you look at literature and you look at folklore and you go back even 50, 100 years, I think even now if you go to certain parts of the world and you ask them, are fairies real? They'll be like, yes, I saw one the other day. Or yes, my neighbor has one living, on his land and it's always acting mischievous. I have had incredible personal experiences with fairies. Personally, I have had them steal my things. I have seen them with my very eyes. I've seen gnomes. I've seen little flying fairies, and I've seen bugs that I am convinced are cloaked as bugs, but they're actually fairies. Our potential to see reality, again, is very limited and very small. If your version of reality doesn't include the other realms, if you think that what we're experiencing right now is all that there is, that's okay. You're allowed to believe whatever you want. But for me, the reason why I believe in the other realms is because I started exploring and looking for them, and I got validation for that, and then now I have concrete evidence for my own self that it's real and that it's true. But the reason why I started looking for evidence was because the idea of reality being limited to just this physical version of reality that I could see was depressing to me. It literally made me so sad because I don't really like Earth and I don't really feel like we're doing a good job here, and I feel like there is more out there. So because of my depression and because of my desire to have a more magical life, I opened my mind. I opened my heart, and I gave myself permission. I gave myself permission to start believing in things that were magical again. I gave myself permission to connect to those things that I knew when I was a child. that I had tangible experiences when I was a child. But because my experiences were never validated by anyone around me, I stopped believing in those things and I closed myself off from it. Now that I'm an adult and I'm on my healing journey, I'm able to connect again with my child self. I'm able again to open my heart and open my mind and allow myself to start exploring the potential realities that exist in the other realms. You don't have to tell anybody that you're doing this, but if you spend time in meditation, in opening your third eye, and reading accounts of people who have had experiences with angels or aliens or guides or, mermaids, I do believe there is, you could call it the fifth dimensional reality. I do believe there is an entire society, like several different societies of different beings that we share this plane of existence with, but that we are in such a dense version of reality that we are co-creating but not on the same page, so we can't actually see them because we've closed our eyes to them. I believe in mermaids. Okay, there's some evidence that mermaids exist, not a lot. I believe in mermaids. I believe in unicorns. I believe in fairies. I believe in aliens. I believe in angels. I believe in ghosts. I believe in all these things because it makes me happy to believe in them. I've seen evidence that they're real. And I also know that as a human limited in my human body, that I have no idea what's really going on here. That I have no idea. We could be... There's a cool thing I was learning about the other day, which is the Tesseract, which is the fifth dimensional cube. And Carl Sagan did an amazing job explaining this. He took a plastic acrylic cube, 3D cube, and he showed with the light how the clear plastic box casts a shadow in the second dimension, which is that picture we always know about, which is the square and the lines that connect it, and you can kind of, it's that optical illusion of putting the sides in your own mind. So you take the 3D cube and you shine a light and you see how it's projected onto the second dimensional plane. And you see how it's not the full picture of the cube. And so what mathematicians and scientists and, whoever created this tesseract, which is the three-dimensional shadow of the fifth dimensional cube. And they do a lot of mathematical modeling of the fifth dimension, which is why they know that quasi-crystals exist. Quasi-crystals are crystals that don't make sense in the third dimension. They make sense in the fifth dimension. So as they do modeling and they are able to see, okay, what would this look like in the fourth spatial dimension? What would this look like in the fifth spatial dimension? And you have to remember, spatial dimensions don't always match up with New Age dimensions. When we're talking about 4D and 5D, there's a little bit of confusion. Dimensions are a whole topic we don't need to go into. But the idea that, when we see a UFO, or when we hear about a story where somebody saw a mermaid, we are potentially seeing into other dimensional realities. We are potentially seeing a shadow projection from another reality that is coming into ours. Why aren't aliens here manifesting, walking around saying, "Take me to your leader"? There's a lot of reasons. But one of them is probably the fact that they are of a different dimension and all they can do is project a certain thing on our plane of three-dimensional existence. One of the ways that angels and aliens have the ability to project their consciousness into our consciousness is through channeling, through telepathy. And telepathy is a space that we share. It's an interdimensional communication device that we are capable of doing with our minds, with our bodies, with our energy bodies. And we are capable of communicating with entities which are not in this physical dimension. Let's talk about channeling. Let's jump over to the channeling chapter. Page 106. Channeling is the ability to use the higher functioning of your brain to interact with another consciousness which may or may not be in the physical realm. So you can telepathically channel with someone who is in the physical realm, like your friends and family, or you can telepathically channel with entities which are not of the physical realm, such as aliens or angels. Channeling is fun, and a great way to get amazing information we would not otherwise have access to. One of the things I said in the last chapter, and which I'm going to talk about now, is that when you are dealing with things that you cannot see, it's really important to practice protection. It's important to practice protection all the time. But usually, and I like to say it this way, if you go outside your house and you encounter someone who is evil, maybe you will be able to pick up on that fact because they are giving visual cues that they are not to be trusted, or energetic cues, right? You have to learn discernment. And so when we're dealing with closing our eyes and not having our main source of information, which is visual cues, we have to rely on other forms of discernment and other forms of protection. So we say, and this is exactly, this person says aliens or demons, and they're not. We're talking about an entire reality that we can't see. And we're talking about a bajillion, infinite different types of entities that could potentially be interacting with you. In the universe, it is very rare that there are entities which are evil. Earth has most of them. Most of them are gathered on Earth. But in the other realms, there are good guys and there are bad guys. There are people who have figured out spiritual evolution. There are people who have not. There are people who understand all one. There are people who have not, entities who have not. And so when you're communicating telepathically with any of these entities, you have to remember to protect yourself and to discern between these energies, because there's the potential that you're communicating with someone who doesn't have your best interests of heart, for the most part. And that will depend on your energy and also your protection. So this is the prayer or affirmation that I recommend that you do. This is the one that I use that works very well. And I've only had one negative experience with an alien. And that was, I take partial responsibility for that. They did trick me. They tricked me. It was after we went to Area 51. Okay, so, but I didn't do this affirmation. If I did this affirmation, they wouldn't have come near me. So listen to this. As I open my mind up to the information that is available to me, I allow only beings and information of the highest light to reach me. I will only interact with beings who have my interests at heart, their best interests at heart, the planet's best interests at heart, and the universe's best interests at heart. I allow only beings who understand the law of all one to interact with me. Uni bless. The reason why this protects you is because if someone understands the truth of all one, they're gonna do their best to not harm anybody, because they understand that harming other people is harming themselves. To set your protection before you channel is a great way to start to feel safe channeling, because if you're scared, you're afraid, or you're feeling any negative emotions, you're going to be blocking yourself from being able to experience the ecstasy and the glory of connecting with higher intelligences. We all have this ability. We all have this right. This is a physical, spiritual collaboration that happens when you open up your mind and you channel. And we're going to be talking about the different types of beings that you can connect to next week. But channeling is a form of telepathy. As you connect, you relax your body. Relax your body. Put yourself into a state of relaxation. It could be before bed. Drink a lot of water. Set the intention. Set the protection. And then connect with your higher self, or your spine. Straighten your spine. Connect. Open up your third eye. Open up your root chakra. Align all your chakras. Just put yourself into a meditative space. You can practice all these things I'm talking about. I say it like it's no big deal because I've been practicing it so much for like 10 years. But if you go on YouTube, you can look up, I have a few chakra alignment series. There's a million different videos you can watch online about opening and feeling into each of your chakras. And it's good to know what they are, and they all align with your endocrine system. So it's really good to drink a lot of water because it flushes out your endocrine system and it allows the energy to flow in your body. And as the energy is flowing in your body, you are tuning your human instrument. to allow yourself to connect. Your electromagnetic body, your electromagnetic awareness, your frequency awareness is beyond that which you even know. It's beyond that which any of us know. You are capable of experiencing the entire universe, truly. And it's only by opening yourself up to it that you can. We are currently limiting ourselves in this current existence. And we're limiting ourselves and we're limiting each other, and physical reality is also an aspect. All those different levels of reality matter. But as we expand our minds, as we expand ourselves, as we align our energy and vibrate on a brave reality of wanting to know what else is beyond this realm, we will find answers. We have the divine right to know what's going on here. We have the divine right to communicate with higher intelligences. And through those communications to the higher intelligences, we can get infinite information. We can access the Akashic records, for instance. We can see what different perspectives have to say about where we are and what we're doing and how we can be of service to this world. Those are the things that I seek out. That's the information that I seek out. How I call to my guides and I say, how can I be in more peace? I have some conflict happening in my life. How can I be in more peace? And they give me guidance on how to be the most relaxed, unconditionally loving version of myself to allow the divine energy to flow through. It is in our right to explore the innerness of our minds, which is actually the externalness of reality, which is actually the innerness of our own selves. We are everything. And that's why we have the right to explore everything, because we have everything inside of us, literally. It's only a matter of expanding yourself to see it. So setting your protection is essential. And once you set your protection, then you can put your body in a state of relaxation, align your chakras, align your spine. Your spinal cord is an energy conductor. And then open up your consciousness and ask to speak to whoever you want. Ask to channel mermaids. Ask to channel whoever your heart desires to be connecting with. Because those people, those entities, those energies are the ones that you are most aligned with. When you were a kid, what game did you like to play? Did you like to play mermaids? Did you like to play, whatever, fairies? Wherever your child self is drawn, try that first. Because in that space, you are tuning into the truth of your heart, probably the truth of your own connections, your own past lives, your own guides, your own guidance. And open up your mind and say, I would like to connect to fairies. For me, I did this. I said, I would like to connect with more fairy energy. So I looked up, I did a lot of research. How do I connect with fairies? And I read some really amazing books, and I have friends who teach things about fairies, and I started opening up my mind, and my life became full of fairies. And I built little fairy, I have a little fairy altar, that I keep clean because they like cleanliness. And I feel their mischievous energy guiding me a lot. And I think that's great. And my experience with fairies is different than my experience with aliens. For me to connect with aliens, it's a very telepathic, very conceptual, very mental experience where I'm connecting my higher consciousness to an entity, and I don't necessarily see things happening in this realm because of them, but I see things happening in my own consciousness for sure because of the connection that I have to them and the information downloads that I get from them. So there isn't any one right way to channel. But simply putting yourself in a state of relaxation, in the state of flow, in the state of non-restriction after you do your protection. Protection is a good restriction. But after you allow yourself to be in the state of flow, and if you've ever taken mushrooms, you know this feeling, but you can achieve that feeling without drugs. You absolutely do not need them to connect to what I'm talking about. Life can be really psychedelic on its own. And it's really through allowing it to be so We don't want it to be psychedelic because it's scary and because that would make us crazy, right? And some people have trouble not having their life be psychedelic. I'm one of those people, and we call that disorder. We call that a disorder. And it can be very disruptive, especially if the being or the person is being attacked. I personally am very lucky, and I have a natural protection around me that makes it so that my psychedelic reality is not one of detriment. But a lot of people have a psychedelic reality that is one of detriment, and a lot of demons attack them, and it's really unfortunate. It's really sad. If you are one of those people, you can set your protection by doing this affirmation, and also by acknowledging the ways that you are allowing demonic entities through your own alignment with them, in the sense like whenever a demon tells you like you're a bad person, and then you reaffirm that in your mind and you say, yeah, I am a bad person, and then you're creating the energy for them to stay with you and to continue to influence you. It's very hard to break a demonic attachment because it's an attachment. It's like an addiction. It's like an unhealthy relationship. But you can do it. And it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of love. And I think that as we grow as a society and as we grow to understand not only mental illness but also other people's experiences and neurodivergence, we're going to start to see the evidence. There's actually a whole movement called hearing voices that's in psychology, and if you have like schizophrenia or some kind of psychedelic reality, I would recommend finding a therapist who is aligned with the hearing voices movement, because that movement is about acknowledging the fact that these voices are actual entities, that a lot of people have had experiences like that through all of cultures, through all of time. People have heard voices or had experiences channeling entities, and that sometimes it's verifiably the same entity with people across cultures. So to validate the fact that people who are hearing voices or seeing things, and then to be able to help them to set their protection so that they are not open to attack by demonic entities, is really what we should be doing and what other cultures did. And as we help those sensitive people, the people who have schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder or whatever you call it, whatever you diagnose it as, if they have a reality where they're being attacked by demons, then we actually, and if we as a society hold space for them to heal, then we open up to having actual shamans. Those people are the actual shamans of our society, and we're missing out. Like we're missing we are missing our shamans because we're not helping them through the death portal of the getting through the demon part to get to the wisdom part. I feel like that was all channeled. Okay, so what does it look like to receive information from channeling? It is merely a matter of listening to what is happening in your perception. I'm going to read it again. It is merely a matter of listening to what is happening in your perception. You're picking up on all kinds of stuff that you're not aware of. That's why meditation is so amazing, because if you can still yourself and you can calm your energy and not like grab your phone. I woke up this morning and I had this little like creature part of myself that was like, get up, go check your phone. I want to see if we went viral. I want to see if we got more likes. I want to see if we got more comments. Ah! And I was like watching this little like creature part of me, like the phone addiction manifested as a part of my personality. And I was like, I let you run my life a lot, but today we're just going to do some yoga and it's all okay. We're going to relax. And I just give compassion and love to that part of myself. But we all have lots of different things happening in our reality. And if you have this little creature inside of you saying, go do this, go do that, go do this, and you always listen to them, then you're not allowing yourself to make the peace inside yourself, the space to feel all the other feelings, experiences, and subtle cues of energy that your body is giving you, that your guides are giving you, and that all the other realms, all the other entities who are here on your side are trying to send you and give you. To become aware of the subtle energies is how you channel. Listening to what is happening in your perception. It's really all it comes down to. You may find that utilizing crystals or cannabis are useful, but you can channel without these things. Perhaps the most difficult thing about channeling is believing that it's happening. When I first started channeling, I'll tell you my story. I was in a relationship with someone who didn't really believe in magic stuff, and I was at the point in my journey where I was like, Unicult is awesome. I think Unicult had been around for 2 years. It was 2014, and I was like, I have to believe in these things to keep myself alive. If I don't believe in these things, I'm not going to make it. And so I have to believe in myself, and I have to believe in magic, and I have to believe in unicorns. And I don't actually think it's true, but I'm just going to let myself believe it, and that's it. I didn't actually believe it, okay? And then I was watching a show, which is a pretty good show, called Continuum. And in this show, people are time travelers, and they have a communication device right in their third eye. And I got high on cannabis one day, and I thought, haha, I'm going to turn on my communication device. And I did. And I started hearing voices. And it wasn't auditory, but I started having thoughts that were not my own thoughts. Because my thoughts go like this. Okay, so we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and then that person thinks this, and this person thinks that, and so we're going to do this, and then if I do that, and then that's going to happen. That's how fast my thoughts goes, right? These voices were like, Unicole, we are here to make contact. And I was like, that's not my thought. I would never think that slowly. And I was like, what? And so, I also, have trouble sitting still and meditating and things. But because it was so slow, it taught me how to sit and just listen. And just listen, and it was a genius way to start channeling with me. Now my channeling is instantaneous. It's actually faster than my own thoughts. But that introduction was from the Arcturians, and they would tell me things like go outside with a crystal. And so I would go outside, and I would get like little headaches. And when I would hold the crystal to my third eye or to wherever I was having the headache, I would like feel the energy release, and I would feel downloads come into my brain. And then I was like, I cannot deny that this is real, because I suddenly had a clarity of everything that Unicult was. I suddenly had a clarity of who I was, and this was over the course of a few months of learning how to channel. And then I got We the Arcturians in my hands. That might have been, I don't know which order it was in, but it was at around the same time, like very close to each other. And I was like, oh, and I just understood everything that I was doing in a much clearer way because I was connecting to my true heart, to my true family. Your experience of channeling might be different, but by paying attention to those thoughts that are not your own thoughts, to those energies which are not your own energy, you can learn how to discern negative, detrimental energies from positive ones. You can learn how to protect yourself from the negative energies. And then you can learn how to call in more and more positive energies, more and more positive influences, more and more information that is beneficial to you. And it will transform your life if you want it to. One way to channel is to free write. You can just start writing, put yourself into a trance, and just write whatever comes out. You can write with your left hand if you want. That's an experience. I usually channel my child's self with my left hand. Your non-dominant hand, sorry. Some people channel by going into a trance and then just speaking the words that are coming through. You can record yourself doing this. There are some channelers on YouTube who do this, like Bashar does this. You can see he's in a trance and he's just speaking and he's allowing the voices to come through. I'm also an open channel, but I don't have to go into a trance to channel anymore. And you can yeah, you can make videos, you can write. A lot of people who make music are channeling also. Okay, the most difficult thing about channeling is believing it's happening. If you're shocked, yeah, my whole story really was to say I was shocked that I was having alien channeling happening to me. And it was scary because it jeopardized my relationship with my partner at the time, because our relationship sort of hinged on the fact that I didn't really believe in anything that Unicult stood for. I was just practicing it as a way to stay alive, because this person didn't support me. And in some ways he supported Unicult, and in other ways he did not. And this was a little bit too much. This was a little bit beyond the fact that I was just his, cute partner. It was a little bit too weird. And so it was scary for me because I didn't want to lose my relationship. And eventually I did, because it was not aligned. And it can be scary if you don't have the support in your life. And it can be scary if you don't have anyone around you who supports you or who believes in you or who shares that reality. It can be terrifying. And so it's easy to block it out and just be like, well, yeah, that's not happening, that's not real, and not own the fact that you can connect with other entities, even if you know that it's happening. It takes a lot of bravery and a lot of courage to own up to that, even if you're not telling anyone, in your own consciousness, because we have so many negative perceptions of it, and we have so much negative ideas about being crazy that it prevents us from actually opening our minds up and opening our abilities up. As long as we expand our minds and expand our realities and expand our self and allow ourselves to experience what we're experiencing, then we're actually opening ourselves up. If we don't open ourselves up, then we're blocking ourselves. We're blocking ourselves. Sometimes it can be challenging to believe that you are actually in communications with the beings that you are in communication with. But remember, belief makes real. Channel joyous information and trust it. Channeling can be made easier with a clean, healthy diet, staying hydrated, meditating on your pineal gland, and getting enough sleep. Have fun. You may find more than you expected. So whatever your reasons for wanting to channel are, if you're interested in learning new information, if you're interested in getting guidance from angelic beings who are here to make your life easier, 1111, then all those reasons are legitimate. Like whatever, if you're just curious, they're legitimate. Allow yourself to believe it, allow yourself to trust it. And for me, I had to look up a lot of other people's experiences, because I didn't really want to allow myself. I'm a very logical person, and I didn't want to allow myself to channel aliens. I didn't want to allow myself to be crazy. I didn't want to be that type of crazy person, And but the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. And so I had to honor that within myself. And I did that by validating my reality, by reading lots of books of other people who have had similar experiences to me, and surrounding myself with people who identified in similar realities to me. Spirit of Uni, we're calling you here to close this beautiful Cam Church, to give love to every single person, to radiate out truth and justice, compassion, understanding, and joy, for us all to find relaxation whenever we're feeling stressed, and to remember that we are free, safe, and loved. Uni bless! All right, if you're a Unicult member, head on over to the Discord to have new member welcome, Uni brunch. Uni bless you all. I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful. I'm just so happy and grateful to be who I am, and to be here with you, and for each of you to be who you are. I think we are all perfect. It's beautiful. We'll see you next week. Uni bless. Thank you all so much.